Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here with Brother Bro, and it's time to review Babygirl, directed by Helena Rain. This is her follow-up to Bodies, 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 and Rain found herself selected for the Venice competition, which made us really think, damn, this could be like a real step up for her. After seeing the movie, I think it is.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I liked it. But with Babygirl, I'm really impressed. Like, I thought this was excellent, extremely well made, one of the best directed films I saw at TIFF this year. And I'm really excited for Helena Rain as a filmmaker.
The movie's about a high-powered CEO who starts an affair with an intern.
Notably, a female CEO played by Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
And the intern is played by Harris Dickinson. And before you worry too much about whether that power dynamic is abusive, I think the film, maybe it invites you to question that, but the advances are very much coming from Harris Dickinson's character. This film is very interested in exploring repressed female sexuality, and to see that from a female filmmaker, I think this is a pretty unmined topic in the world of film.
It's like an elevated 50 Shades, in a sense.
Very elevated. I think my favorite part about Babygirl was just how in tune the storytelling was with both the characters. It could have just been a fantasy and very sexual, very erotic, and it's all of those things, but the characters have to do this kind of negotiating, and they have to have these conversations about consent, which kind of take you out of that eroticism, but they're very necessary. It could have worked at the level of, she's just seduced, and this character, maybe he just remains mysterious, but everything was, way more developed than it had to be.
Yeah, I think that the directing of the performances is really strong here. I mean, Helena Rain herself used to be an actress, and, maybe that's why she's so good with the actors. Every scene feels really well rehearsed and blocked. There's always an interesting evolution between the two actors, what they come into the room with and what they leave the room with, and the push and pull, and the way that the camera feels like it can drift around and be unobtrusive in these moments, and also to be really intimate. I just thought the performances were so beautifully done and directed. Nicole Kidman is on her A game here.
Yeah, this is easily one of the best Kidman performances I've ever seen. I'd have a bone to pick with anybody who would say otherwise. Like, this is easily her best work in years. There are just so many scenes where she is extremely vulnerable, but also digging very deep and really just serving the story and serving like the core of what the film is about. I don't think this is exploitative at all, because the film is primarily about something important. It's not just about like the spectacle of watching an older woman be seduced. What Kidman gave to this performance will be remembered. It's part of what is important about the film and how we're going to talk about it. I think the film is hoping to start conversations around sexuality, which is a topic people don't really want to discuss, especially when their needs are not typical. And it also shows how important that is for people. Like, it's not just a superficial fantasy that she wants to enact. Like, it's deeply important to her to have that kind of fulfillment.
And it's also about the shame that people have surrounding those things.
And Harris Dickinson here, absolutely blew me away.
Harris Dickinson is so unexpected here. His character has this elusiveness about him, where he's at once this charming, soft boy, and he's also really aggressive and upfront, and it's just a joy to watch. He's kind of hilarious. You got to see it to believe it.
I could not imagine anybody delivering a better performance than Harris Dickinson here. And that's really when you know if it's a great performance. I always think, could I imagine somebody else doing a better job? And the answer is no. And it's the same for Kidman here. Like, they're two of the best performances I've seen all year. And Antonio Banderas is also really good in the third act, especially. I thought he was just going to be like the husband who's, in a scene here or there. In the ending, he gets these extremely intense scenes, and he completely went all in for these. So unexpectedly, like, a great supporting performance there. Another favorite part about this movie for me was the cinematography. I love when a film is just bright. I think a lot of films are just kind of dark and dingy, and they do it because if they brightened it up, it would be too grainy, and they're just like not flooding the image with enough light. This film is very high key in general. It's very punchy. It's like a delight to look at, and it has some really vibrant colors. It's really firing on all cylinders. Like, the camera angles are really interesting, and it does some long takes during the moments of sensuality, which, you really can't see them being done any other way when you witness them in those single takes. And some of them are very long, like very difficult to pull off, quite a high wire act with blocking the actors and nailing all those little moments. Just really well done from a visual standpoint. Like, very thoughtfully crafted.
I also really liked the score here.
Yeah, the score was fantastic.
It has some grunts and vocal stuff going on in some of the tracks that just...
It's a hot and heavy score.
You know, yeah, very feral. Just a really well done movie overall. Very entertaining to watch, very easy to watch. Yeah. I've seen some people be lukewarm on the movie, but just from pure entertainment and how good the acting is, I have a hard time understanding why anybody would be anything less than like a 7 out of 10 on this. I do think the way the movie wraps up makes sense for the story, and I like what it communicates to the audience. It did feel maybe a bit easier than I thought it would, and a bit cleaner. But I also can respect equally like why I would want to go that route, although I can't help but to want it to be just a bit messier.
I had a blast here, and I would recommend this film to just about anybody. Although I wouldn't really recommend you seeing it with your parents.
You and your parents can have a nice talk about sexuality after the movie and kink.
I think I'm probably like a really high 8 on this. I'm close to a 9. It's maybe a top 10 of the year so far.
Really?
I have to check my list, but it's like, it's really up there.
I also appreciated some well-placed humor here. It was very funny when it was trying to be.
Yeah.
I'm like on the lighter side of an 8 here. Nicole Kidman won the Volpe Cup at the Venice Film Festival, which is their Best Actress award. It does have a decent track record of the winners getting nominated at the Oscars, though because it's a jury award, I wouldn't take it all that seriously.
Cailee Spaeny won this last year for Priscilla, and some people took that as, oh my god, she's the Best Actress contender, and you know, that didn't happen. There's a very similar trajectory this film could have with Priscilla in that she got the Golden Globe nomination, but didn't get anywhere else. And that's because Golden Globes have so many slots that you can make it into. Nicole Kidman will be nominated there.
I think
if she gets more than that, it's awesome. It's fantastic. I would love to see a Best Actress nomination for her. But I just don't think it will happen. I think
it's a bit crowded this
kind
year.
of film it is will hold it back. Believe me, I'm rooting for it. Like, I just think the subject matter is like a little less approachable for most people, even though it's kind of a mainstream movie. But I think that's the only nomination it would get, even though I'd love to see Harris Dickinson get nominations. Maybe critics groups will do him justice.
Do you think he would be supporting?
I think that he would only have a shot if he was supporting. So they'd probably campaign him there, and I think it would be justified.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing.
What do you want Harris Dickinson to do to you?